Hey there guys, I got something fun and exciting to talk about today that is quite surprising, not only to me, but probably to you folks as well, and pretty much to everybody that witnessed it at that time. And I debated on what to title this video, but in order to actually get people to watch the damn thing, I pretty much have to give the secret up in the title. So I'm not going to create any more suspense. But I shot my first IDPA match last week with the Taurus GX4. And for any of you folks that have watched this channel, you may be wondering, like, what in the world are you thinking? Shooting a competitive pistol match with a Taurus GX4. But I wanted to go into it with one of the cheapest firearms that I had. So it would be obviously an available thing to all of you folks that are watching. And also because I shoot the GX4 very well, but I knew that I would not be, or I thought I would not be as competitive shooting something like carry optics where I'm using my Canic with a red dot and all that, because I knew that would kind of be the premier class with the best shooters in there. So I opted for the compact carry pistol class. And like I said, I shot it with the Taurus. This gun is available. I've seen it as low as I think $240 at different places online, $240. And it may even be cheaper than that. You get 2 magazines with it in the stock format, and it comes with a hard shell case. I don't know of any gun that's worth having that is any cheaper than that. I mean, this is about the bottom dollar. But if you watch my original GX4 review, you'll know that I had a lot of positive things to say about this gun. I really like it overall. I do carry it on occasion, and I shoot it a lot, which is what I generally do with these cheaper guns. I just run a ton of rounds to them and see how they hold up. The really remarkable thing about this gun is the trigger. For a striker fired micro 9, it's got a really good trigger. I'm a really big fan of the Glock 43, which I have and have loved for a while. The GX4 is every bit as good as the Glock 43. So anyway, that's enough about the actual pistol and why I chose this gun. Like I said, I wanted to use something very inexpensive just to try to prove a point that you don't have to drop $2,000 on some fancy race gun to be able to go out and shoot in a competition, have fun, and be competitive. Now, as far as the competition goes, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really read the rule book going into it. I kind of just glanced through a couple of things, just enough to know which pistol I could bring and what I needed to have with it. And the only thing I picked up outside the waistband holster that I actually had for the Glock 43, I just used one of those, is I bought a new magazine. So I had 3 magazines in total, a new clip for us free-thinking people. Magazine for you authoritarians. And to be honest, this is like well over 10% of the cost of the firearm itself. I think this is like $35 for this magazine, but it has the little pinky lip on there. But anyway, I bought 1 magazine. I had everything else. I did not have a magazine holder, a magazine holster type thing, a clip holster. I just used my back pocket, which was a disadvantage. But again, I wanted to do this with the stuff that most of you folks probably already have, and things that if you didn't have, you could get for really cheap. I used a We the People holster, which I think I paid $20-something for. So all in, even with the extra magazine, outside of the ammo cost, I'm still in under $300 for this whole experience. If you just had to go out right now and buy all this stuff and do the competition, it cost me $15 to do the competition. So right at $300 altogether. Now with ammo, you need about 100 rounds. I think we ended up firing about 80. but they say bring 100. So, you know, you figure 2 boxes of ammo, that's about $30, $35, depending on where you get them. I actually shot with Federal Syntech 150 grain competition ammo just because I had it. I just had a few boxes laying around, so I thought, well, why not use that? I don't have any other use for it specifically. So anyway, how did this competition go? Was it any fun? Well, I'm going to put up some footage of this stuff as I'm talking about it a little bit and let you guys see what it's about. And I'll put the rest of it up at the end. But basically, we have an indoor range where I shoot at, and that's where the competition was held. I think a lot of these are outdoors. But basically, they set up a cool little course. Some of it is moving, and I did really good when you had to move, shoot and move, shoot and move. I did better at those stages than I did on the stationary stages compared to everybody else. But I made some critical mistakes that the next time I go back, I understand now how they score things and what to do and what not to do specifically to get the best score. But on the first stage that I'll throw up on the video right now, you started from a seated position, and then you had to move to the right, take out 3 targets, and keep on moving across, and some kneeling was involved in this. But again, I had no idea what the scoring was, so I was just watching the other folks that went before me, and I figured out, okay, you gotta hit each one of these things 2 times. And if you've seen the IDPA targets, it's got a big 0 in the middle, which is 0 points, which means it's like golf, the lower score, the better. And it's got a couple of outer sections where you get more as you go out from that center mass ring. And then it's got the same thing in the headshot area, but it's much smaller. So after this first round, I was actually towards the front of the entire group of, I think, like 18 people maybe. I think I was in 6th or 7th. And that's, well, 2 of these folks were legitimate professionals. So really, I thought I did very good. And I didn't shoot particularly great. I wasn't like all of a sudden just shooting the best I've ever shot. It was just a moving stage, and I think I had an advantage at that just because I'm a little athletic and I like to move around. And after a while, to be honest with you, my back was killing me after standing there for a while. But anyway, so after the first stage, I did pretty good. Now, as it went on, second stage was cool. I had a little bit more hesitancy with that one. I just wasn't as comfortable at that one as the first one. I didn't shoot as good, but I made some basic mistakes that going back, I would have remedied. And in the class I was shooting, you can only load so many rounds in your magazines and your clips. And I was not prepared the way that everybody else was with magazine holsters and the ability to get to all of their mags and all that stuff. So had I been ready for all that, I would have scored better in the second and third round. And I think I could have gotten the top 5 in the end if I had just known what to do and why, which that's my fault. That's not anybody else's. That's 100% on me. But I wanted to go into this with little knowledge. I didn't want to watch 25 YouTube videos and know exactly what was coming. I really wanted it to be a really new experience and just see how I did. The third round, the third stage, I did terrible because I actually dropped my reload mag when I was going to get it out of my back pocket. And that cost me some time. And then, in hindsight, I should have gone ahead and loaded up the third clip and use that to get the couple of shots that I missed, and it would have actually saved me a lot of time. I didn't understand how they were scoring, and if you don't get 2 shots on the target, I think each one you miss is 10 seconds onto your time or something like that. And on the last stage, I missed 1 target entirely because I ran out of ammo, and I had the 3 mags, but I didn't have the wherewithal to have all 3 of them ready. I had 1 of them in a pocket that I couldn't get to in that seated position. And I just didn't really even think about it at the time because since I was running this concealed carry pistol, I actually won my division. I scored the best of anybody with this style pistol, but I think it was only 3 of us shooting those. So that ain't really that big of a deal. But everybody else that was running carry optics and standard carry and all those bigger guns, most everybody just reloaded once. And so I kind of got it in my mind that, oh, you can only reload one time. And I didn't really even think about reloading a 3rd time. And if I had, I could have actually placed much better in the end. But anyway, long story short, I had a really good time. It was very fun. There was action. We had a couple little hang-ups in this particular round because they had some things go wrong. And I'll throw up this clip of what the stage 3 was supposed to be, but the swinging targets, they couldn't get them to work right. And so we ended up having to rearrange some things. And so it kind of ran on a little bit and a little bit of dead time there. But for the most part, all the folks at the range I shoot at, which is Appalachian Gun and Pawn up in Pickens County, they got a good group of folks. Now I don't necessarily agree 100% with everything and everybody's opinion about everything all the time, but I've run into a lot of good folks there. I've made some friends at that place, and I shoot there all the time. I shoot there at least once a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times. They're good folks. If you're in the market for a gun, they've got some pretty reasonable prices. Some things I've seen cheaper there than anywhere else. Not everything, but some things. And they've got some good used inventory and stuff like that. But I'm not here to do a commercial about the Appalachian. But that's where the competition was. And it goes on regularly. They have 2 versions of this IDPA. I think it's International Defense Pistol Association or something like that. But it's all concealed carry based. Like you have to draw out of a concealed holster, and it's all about using cover and moving and getting shots on target. And it was just a really good time. I mean, for nothing else, I think most of you guys gals as well, that watch my videos, I don't make a huge deal out of defensive aspects of firearms. And again, I always have this disclaimer of I certainly take it serious, and I have my defensive firearms, and I take my self-defense and home defense seriously. But most of the shooting that I do is just for fun and just for training because I like to get better at things. And this was a really good experience in that aspect, in that respect. I certainly felt I had a better idea of what some new training things might be that I want to get involved in and how to think about a few things. Now, to wrap this video up, in the last stage of the IDPA match, it was a 25-yard bowling pin shot. We had 3 bowling pins. You had 3 rounds. Who hits the most bowling pins in the shortest amount of time? I didn't come anywhere close to hitting a bowling pin. I'll just be straight up honest with you. And I was kind of pissed off about that because I'm not that bad of a shot at distances. So I kind of thought something might be up, and I took this gun back to the range the next day with the same ammo and put a target up at 25 yards and just to see where in the world is this thing hitting. And I realized quite quickly, even with a rest, so I don't want to hear you Monday morning quarterbacks, internet troll know-it-alls tell me it's my form. It's not my form. The pistol itself certainly shoots low at that distance, but it shoots low and to the left. And so I got the old hammer and punch out and adjusted my rear sight just a little bit, just tapped it over to the right a little bit and went back and tried it out, and it's shooting dead on at 25 yards now for me. I mean, I was easily able to put many rounds right there in the same spot in the center of the target by aiming in the center of the target. Still shooting low, and I really wish I had a adjustable sight for elevation in the rear of this gun, but it's a micro 9. It's not a target pistol. So anyway, overall, could not have asked for a better experience with the GX4. Again, this thing has been rock solid. I've shot it a couple times since the match this week, and just because I was kind of inspired to take it out again, run some more rounds through it. And man, it's really just a hell of a gun for the price. And if you want to get into some competitive shooting, this is blatant evidence that you don't have to spend a ton of money. You can go out there and make a very modest investment in a gun that you can carry every day comfortably and reliably, and still compete in some of these matches and do decent in your class. If you put an optic on this, like, you'd be into another class and you'd be outgunned severely by some of the things. But if you just run the gun stock with the iron sights and the concealed carry pistol, I think, or compact carry pistol, CCP is the class that it runs in. You guys can look those rules up. But if you run it in that class, it's very competitive. I think there's a couple people with Glock 43s there. And this is, since it has a much higher magazine capacity, even though you can't load them completely full, you have an advantage in a lot of ways, and it's just a really good gun, and it's, you know, it's doing a great job. And some of my carry guns, like my Hellcat, I don't necessarily want to run 10,000 rounds through it just as quick as I can, because I want it to last a little bit longer, and so I'm a little bit more conservative with my round count. I want to put several through it so I'm very comfortable with it, and I want it to be broken in and you know, vet out any failures that might happen. But with something like this, I mean, I can just go out and get another one, you know, just about any time. I mean, they're not free, but they're definitely not expensive, Hellcat expensive. So anyway, that's what I got to say about that, folks. I hope you guys get something out of my experience. Like I said, I had a damn hell of a time. It was fun. It was good people. Everybody was very supportive. I didn't know any of the folks that were there. I was just there by myself, really, and tried to get some of my friends to go, but they all have lame excuses these days. But anyway, if you have that interest, go out and do it. Get you a decent little shooter, something that you shoot well, and the more stock that you keep it, the more competitive you'll probably be, and unless you just want to go all out and get some kind of super fancy, you know, race gun and just goose it up to the max. If you got the cash, do it. If you don't, go get you a GX4 or even the G3C. Probably would have been a good choice as well, but mine has the threaded barrel on it, so I couldn't use it in the stock class. And go out there and shoot some, man. It's very inexpensive. And it's just a lot of fun, and you'll gain a lot of skills. So anyway, thanks for joining me again. I'm going to shoot another video right here right quick with my Canic, so stay tuned for that if you want to. And thanks to Donnelly's Music for hooking me up with this cool t-shirt. So check them out in Canton, Georgia. Anyway, we'll see you guys at the range.